Hello. Okay, so the Revelation D3 video is me going into quite a sort of heavy but not sort of negative rant about the ability Boulder, about the fact that I just can't hit anything when it keeps triggering. And because of my cooldown reduction and everything, when this triggers, it reduces it by 8 seconds. My Boulder on reduction, I got it down to 9 seconds. So I was effectively spamming it every half second to second, because obviously there's the animation of the Boulder coming out. So roughly every half a second to a full second, I was throwing out a Boulder. And that means that there was a Boulder going in all directions. There was one that I was aiming, and then there was one that was being randomly thrown out because of the triggering effect of Hurricane. Nature's Fury, whenever you use an ability, the other ability within that same subset has 20% chance to trigger. So it's a free trigger that happens. So every time I activate Hurricane, there's a 20% chance that Boulder will also be cast for free. So now I'm casting Boulder. It's 20% chance of triggering. And because I'm spamming storm skills, this is triggering the cooldown of Boulder. So I'm throwing a Boulder is being thrown out for free, and then another Boulder is coming out almost immediately. So it was pushing everything away from me. I couldn't hit anything. All the enemies were just never in front of me anymore. So I've had to drop Boulder completely. I honestly think that with Nature's Fury, Boulder needs to be redesigned. And I do fully think that the knockback effect, the way that the ability works, I think Blizzard needs to do something about Boulder. It's ridiculous. Either that, or they need to make it so that I can turn off the effect of Nature's Fury for each subset. And what I mean by this is that if I go into the skill tree, if I've got Nature's Fury active, I can then go to here and then I can click it to turn it on or off, to stop it from casting Boulder, or to stop it from casting Cyclone Armor or something. That it allows me to have some kind of method of stopping the auto spam from happening on that particular subset of skills. I don't really think that that's a solution, but something has to be done. I can't hit anything if I'm spamming Boulder, which it's intentional. They want you to spam Boulder. That's the reason why this exists. When Nature's Fury key passive triggers a free skill, reduces it by 8 seconds. Like, it's designed to be spammable. I don't think Blizzard tested it with Boulder very well. So at the moment, Boulder is being completely shelved. It's the most dumbest, stupidest ability in this game, and I can never recommend it to anyone, even as a fun factor. Get rid of it. Get it off your hotbar. It's terrible. So what can we do instead in the meantime? Well, this is where I don't know comes into the equation, because unfortunately the game doesn't really allow you to get much build diversity. For instance, I would like to be able to have Landslide on my action bar. It's a good ability. But so is Tornado. But with Nature's Fury, one is triggering the other, and I would rather spam Tornadoes than spam Landslide. One particular reason. Tornado can hit enemies in the back. Landslide only hits things that you are targeting. So I would rather spam Tornadoes. The issue comes in the fact that they both cost Spirit. So if I'm spending Spirit to cast Landslide, I'm never going to have the Spirit to be able to cast Tornado. Do you see the issue? I can't have both of these on the hotbar. What I should do, however, and I am actually going to start doing this from this point forward, and I think Blizzard needs to actually implement this as a feature, is I want a second action bar. So whenever I go against a single target, and I'm going to be doing this from all future videos, I'm going to remove Tornado off the hotbar, and I'm going to replace it with Landslide, so that I do more centralized damage against a solo target. What this basically means is that things like Tornado will seek is no longer something that you need on the build, because the big single target enemies are the ones that you want tornadoes to be ultimately going against anyway. But obviously you don't need to do that if you could swap it out for Landslide, because you are now controlling where all that damage is. But we're going to experiment with that over the coming weeks. We're going to go back and forth between these two abilities. I'm actually going to be testing these two abilities properly in the next few days. Like, try and find out what kind of damage differences they actually have. Because don't forget, Landslide is also summoning the occasional Tornado, thanks to Nature's Fury. But Tornado is also summoning Landslides. So I am still getting that single target hit, which is the reason why I'm probably hitting so hard against bosses. Because the tornadoes are stacking on the boss, plus I'm also getting the Landslide effect. But we're going to see which is better against single targets. Should I actually be using Landslide, or should I be using Tornado? We're going to adjust the build. I'm going to have separate items as well, one that's got the Tornado effect on it, and another one will have the Landslide effect. I forgot what it does. I think it adds another pillar for every pillar that you've cast, and it gives that pillar extra damage, I think. I don't have one stored yet. I think I had one ages ago, but I got rid of it because I wasn't really using Landslide in that effect. But we're going to be testing that the next time I actually get that as a drop. If I see it as a drop, I will obviously put it onto a piece of gear, probably onto one of these or something, and we're going to do like a back and forth. We're going to find out if the single target Landslide is going to be way more damage than the Tornado stacking. Don't forget, the Tornadoes circle back on themselves and they stack under the boss. So if I could get like 4 or 5 Tornadoes out, that to me sounds like it's more damage than a single target Landslide. But if the Landslide effect gives it more damage from the aspect, plus it gives it more landslides, it might actually tip the favor of the damage. We won't know that until I've tested it, or unless you've found other channels that has actually tested it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Obviously I am looking for some feedback on this. I don't want to be doing all this testing by myself. I'd like to actually build up the community and share that information. But yes, in terms of my build currently, I'm using this. Damaging an elite grants you a barrier. This only affects barrier generation from elites. Elites are anything that is a target that is not a basic enemy. So a player is also an elite. Bosses are elites. Standard strong enemies are elites. So this actually triggers constantly. I also get the Fortify. I am actually getting Fortify for free with the Earthen Bulwark spam. I just get a full bar of Fortify immediately, meaning that the +2 to Earth is fantastic. The reason why you want this is because if Tornado triggers Landslide, Landslide is also getting that +2 effect. So it doesn't affect only the abilities that you cast yourself. It just innately gives everything +2. So it's very powerful, considering that I am actually summoning both Storm and Earth abilities. So I think it's something that you should be getting on Nature's Fury builds. This is something that is a no-brainer. The Hurricane, because it applies a constant slow, we are actually using that for the slow effect. And the reason being is that while it's active, it applies a slow, but Earth skills deal increased damage to slowed, stunned, immobilized, or knocked back enemies. I'm currently only getting 10% from this, though I would like to get another point somewhere from the tree. You only need 2 points on Hurricane. You're not really using this for its damage. You just want it up constantly for the slow. And this is giving the slow. So that the 2 seconds, as long as they're within the range of Hurricane, this slow is being constantly applied to every enemy. It's not like it applies a 2-second slow and then they become immune. So as long as you have Hurricane up constantly, you're applying that slow and you're getting the extra damage, which is really nice. Which is the reason why I want Hurricane on my hotbar. Hurricane is still occasionally summoning Boulder, which is problematic. Pushing enemies outside of your Hurricane doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they've designed Nature's Fury to be as passive as it is. The fact that I can't turn it off to stop Boulder from being summoned is horrendous design. In terms of like build sustainability, like the Hurricane works better when Boulder doesn't trigger. Like that to me is horrendous design. So I don't know. Stone Guard, while you have Fortify for over 50% of your maximum life, you will always, with this particular build, have over 50% maximum life Fortify. You just innately gain increased damage to all of your Earth skills. You are basically using all of them, apart from Boulder. Basically all of them. The ultimate doesn't do damage, completely pointless. You want increased duration to actually make this actually work, which is really nice that you can do 50% increased damage, critical strike damage, but 6 seconds is a bit lackluster, and I honestly think even 10 seconds is still lackluster. If you could get it upwards of 15 seconds on the duration, maybe it's worth it, but as far as I'm concerned, all the ultimates for Nature's Fury are shit, and you should probably stay away from every single one of them. Natural Disaster obviously just innately increases your damage. This, because you are spamming your core ability with Nature's Fury, you probably actually should get this. It's free healing. It's 3% of your maximum life every time you consume spirit. So it's not the actual ability itself, it's the consumption of spirit. So if you could spam spirit and get the cost down of the spirit itself to something more reasonable, like 25 spirit, if you can do that, if you can get things that reduce the cost, I will be looking into that for the build at some point, because I want to be able to spam that kind of thing, because survivability is key and spirit generation is second to that. And if you can make it so that you get a lot of health per second through the natural generation of spamming, that will not only be beneficial for dungeons and in-game content, especially when it comes to world bosses and stuff, but it will also be quite vitally handy for PvP. So if you're looking for PvP aspects, spamming your health to be able to go back up if you get hit, it will help to lower the incoming damage over time. So if they put a dot on you and you're just spamming your spirit abilities, you can ideally counter that dot effect. So I personally think it's worth it. What it basically means is that you don't need another health thing on your bar. It also helps in terms of stopping you from needing to spam potions. If you ever run out of potions, you know that you're basically dead in the water. So if you can make it so that you're not just spamming your potions, then it's even better for your build. Nature skills deal innate damage to elites. Again, the game doesn't speculate this, but elites means quite a lot of enemy types in the game, including players. So increased damage to elites is something you should be getting, especially if you could get them on your Paragon. If you could get anything that increases damage to elites, you should be. I'll get to the Paragon in a sec, but yeah. In terms of the actual skills themselves, I've gone with the vulnerability. You should be trying to apply vulnerability to all targets at all times. The Storm Strike has a chance to immobilize. If it hits an immobilized or stunned enemy, there's a chance that a second Earth Spike will trigger. So I'm getting generation from Storm Strike, generation from the free cast of Earth Spike, generation from the second Earth Spike. So that's 3 times of generation. We've also then gone with Abundance. Your basic skills generate 18% more spirit. So that's, you know, it's 18% per trigger. So your bar should be going up rapidly, just on that alone. We are favouring Tornado over Landslide, though I have maxed out its levels. I don't have the ability to make it better yet through my character, like plus Earth skills or plus, you know, lightning or whatever. I just haven't found those just yet. I do have one down here that's +2 Earth and Bulwark, which is nice. And these gloves are +2 to Tornado. Pretty good. So I will be messing with those at some point. Down here we've gone with the Slow, with the Cyclone. Item contribution is 3. I've only got 1 point in it. You generally don't want to put more points into it. If you get natural plus ranks to it, that's fine. But the amount of percent that you get per level means that you're going to need like 10 plus ranks in this thing for you to really justify the amount of percentage increase from the non-physical damage reduction. So just slam 1 point in there, and as you can see, 4 out of 5, it's only an extra 2.8. So it's 10 by default, and it's only an extra 2.8% for an extra 3 levels. So it's pretty obvious that you don't want to do that. Increasing the level of Earth and Bulwark doesn't really do much either. You get a bit of extra percentage from the barrier, but we are already generating barriers as well, don't forget, from this imprint. So you don't necessarily need to put more points in. What you should need to get, however, is the Fortify. The Fortify is probably the best way for you to generate, because you are spamming Earth and Bulwark. The moment it comes off cooldown, especially with the triggering effect of the Nature's Fury key passive, the majority of my abilities are Storm. So all of these are basically having, you know, the effect of triggering the reduction. So Earth and Bulwark is basically up constantly, and every time you activate it, it refreshes that Fortify effect, so it stacks up and you end up getting maximum Fortify within the first pack of monsters within the dungeon. So yeah, that's probably the best passive in the game for generating Fortify. Because of that, you don't actually need to generate Fortify yourself, so you don't need like things down here where whenever you get stunned, immobilized or knocked down, you don't need them. There's only points here and here because it's the only way to get this. This is very important. You need this. Reduce the duration of crowd control impairing effects by 9%. Triple this effect while you have Fortify over 50%. Now, why would you need that if Earth and Bulwark makes you unstoppable while it's active? Now, there's quite a few reasons why Earth and Bulwark doesn't make you an unstoppable god. If the triggers don't happen, and it has actually happened quite a few times where I didn't get the reduction from Earth and Bulwark, and I've actually gone into a fight where I've activated Earth and Bulwark and it's been destroyed. Like the incoming damage removes it. Because don't forget, even though it says 9 seconds, the actual barrier itself is only 969 currently. Meaning that you taking 1,000 points of damage from a lot of enemies that have crowded you will break Earth and Bulwark quite quickly, and you'll end up in a situation, especially if you're standing in goop that applies damage over time, that Earth and Bulwark will break quite quickly. And when it does that, especially in PvP combat, you want to make sure that outside of the unstoppable factor of Earth and Bulwark, that you get as much crowd control impairing effect reduction as possible, including the reduction of freezing, one of the most broken crowd control effects that the enemies do, as well as other players could do, is freeze you. And if they ever apply a frozen status to you, you could take a horrendous amount of damage really quickly. So reducing that freeze duration is vitally important. This is really important, especially if Earthen Bulwark either gets broken or you just don't get the continued spam from the reduction. Making sure that Earthen Bulwark is up as much as it can be. There's a lot of situations that I've come in contact with, especially in dungeons, where the triggers have never gone off, and Earthen Bulwark, I can't activate it. And I have to wait for its natural cooldown. It's 15 seconds on the cooldown. Makes a difference if you have other layers of crowd control reduction in the background. Now, if you want to take the risk of not using that, you can get 5 points back. Just take all the points back off here and put them somewhere else. But especially in PvP, you should have these on. I don't really do PvP, but I do a lot of content where I get surrounded by enemies constantly, and I have actually got to the point where the Earthen Bulwark breaks. You could try to subvert that by getting more generation of barrier. You can put that onto your character. I personally think it's not that great, especially considering that you can get things like this. Don't forget, it says there that it's a triple effect. I'm always over 50% fortify, meaning that is always going to be a triple effect. So yeah, I mean, you could prat around with the build as much as you like. Let me know any adjustments that you've made. The easiest free points that you could get back off the tree are these points here. I personally think that it's better to just have it innately in the background as a just in case. But you could put those points elsewhere. You could put those points into the Earthen Spike and get that out of 5 out of 5 and stuff like that. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do, you do the build. Now, the last one is, the other thing that I want to talk about is the last ability that I'm using. Because Hurricane is triggering Boulder and I don't want to use Boulder, if Boulder actually worked without the knockback, I would be using Boulder. I mean, it's got a 9-second cooldown, for fuck's sake. But because it's so bad with the spam, I can't use it, so I've got to use something else. And at the moment, probably the easiest thing to use is the Blood Howl. It does give me an immediate healing of 25% of my maximum life. And it obviously gets cooldown for every kill that you get, so you can spam it. I decided to go with the increased attack speed more than the generation, mainly because I'm already generating a horrendous amount of spirit anyway. I don't need more generation, but the attack speed is always nice. Now this increases your attack speed. It's not basic attack speed, this is just innate attack speed of everything. I don't really know how that affects Druid, considering that the only thing that you're really doing is your basic attack for attack speed. I don't know. You're going to have to educate me what attack speed does for abilities. Does attack speed reduce cooldown? Or does attack speed, like for instance the tick time of Tornado, does that mean that it ticks faster with more attack speed? I don't know. Someone's going to have to educate me to that. Does this, you know, every time it hits an enemy, does it do the damage faster? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But yeah. So Nature's Fury. I've hit a sort of roadblock at the moment. What my 6th ability is. It's not going to be an ultimate. There's nothing that I can really use down here. The rabies. It's a tiny bit of extra damage. Is that going to make any difference? Not really. Should I go with a companion? I'm thinking that maybe I personally want to use Boulder, but in the meantime, maybe I can use Poison Creeper. Not so much for the poison damage over time, but your critical strike chances increase by 20% against those that are affected by Poison Creeper. This passive might actually be the passive of choice if you're going to go companion. I don't know. This is one thing I'm going to have to play with. We'll see over the next coming days. But the main thing I personally want to test is single target damage with Landslide and Tornado. In fact, I'll probably do that for the next video. I will clear out a dungeon, and then against the boss I will simply put Landslide on the hotbar instead, and I'll then go back in that same dungeon and go against the same boss, and I'll use Tornado, and maybe we'll do like a comparison of the time to kill between the two bosses, and we'll see what that feels like. But as far as I'm concerned, this is the build. Paragon, I haven't been able to pull it out just yet in terms of, you know, the real goodness about it. I did find this glyph, and I'm probably going to start looking at actually upgrading the glyphs. The way that you upgrade glyphs is here, consumables. You've got these are nightmare things. They basically, when you activate it, there's a particular dungeon, it says it on the thing. So for instance, transforms this particular dungeon into the nightmare variant, and it's the Feral's Den in Scosglen. And then you get both positives and negatives. So this is the way that you get your glyphs up. I haven't really looked into that myself just yet, but this is the glyph I'm using. 25% bonus to all rare nodes within range, and I've got 2 within range here. So this one's increasing my damage and giving me some willpower. So I'm getting 25% from this. This is also giving me an additional 5%. So it's 25% of that damage, which then gives me an extra 5%. So I'm actually getting 30% damage, an extra 5% willpower, and 2% resistance to all, because I get 10% here. So this is a pretty good glyph for me at the moment, and if I can get the intelligence within range, I will get 10% damage reduction while I have an active barrier. My build is all about active barriers, so I could get 10% damage reduction just innately from this one glyph. I think that's pretty good. So I've got a reason to spend points down there. 20% damage, max life down here. As long as I've got 160 intelligence, I get the extra plus 10, which is really good. Up here, I've gone with the spiritual power. 28% to core skills. Core skills is my core ability, quite literally. It's the one ability that I'm spamming the most, so any kind of damage that increases the damage of core skills is a no-brainer. You should be getting it. Also the basic skill damage, but I do have the intelligence and the willpower to be able to get the bonus 14, so that's pretty good. These are really good as well. Core skill, basic skill, and the core. So there's 3 times core skills, so this is a huge amount of core skill damage. And then up here I've gone with the reclamation, plus 2 spirit on kill, maximum spirit, just to make sure that if I do over spam spirit generation, that the maximum spirit caters for that over generation. It has got to the point where I've spammed so much spirit that my spirit bar is filled up, and I feel like every point above the maximum allows me to reclaim that, as it's called, reclamation, reclaim that spirit generation, so that I'm not wasting it, which is really good. So this is a really good node to get. This one's fantastic. After spending 75 spirit, I just have to cast Tornado twice in this particular instance. I deal 30% increased damage for 5 seconds. That's a permanent 5 seconds because I'm always casting Tornado. So throughout the entire instance, I will always have 30% increased damage. I'll be working over towards these 2 nodes soon enough. I want to get the glyph first. Into this one, again, core skill damage, 28%. Bit of extra willpower. And then this one is resistance. you should be getting as much resistance as possible. It's just a no-brainer. Defense is always something that you should be concentrating on any build. So I'm getting the 4%. I'm 1 point off getting the 8%. So when I get another 5 decks on here somewhere, I'm not entirely sure where I'll be getting that dex, but if I can get just 1 extra point in dex, then I'll get 8% resistance, which is fantastic. So it's going to be worth getting. Oh, there's dex here and here. Probably just grab one of those then. Plus 2%, 2, 4, that's an extra 6%, no brainer. Over here, core damage, grab these, because, yeah. And if I come this way, I can get willpower and intelligence, which will come in handy for other skills as well. The potion healing, life regen, I don't think I'm going to bother getting that one. Max spirit, again, is really nice. I probably should get that, but it's a little bit too heavy on the points to be able to get over there. I'd rather put my points somewhere else. Maybe go into a new board, which I think I will be heading this direction on the board gate, and then the next board will be over here. But yeah, I mean, that's the Paragon progress so far. I'm now level 60. Yeah, the spirit boons, just to close this out, I've gone with the advantageous beast, control, impairing effect reduction by 15%. Again, just getting any kind of innate reduction is necessary. Just because I can get spammable unstoppable doesn't mean that I shouldn't be getting it as a passive effect. 5% increased critical strike chance. This is the double effect, the double boon. You get an extra boon if you buy all of the bonding upgrades. So make sure that you're spending all of the Druid currency that you find. Go there, max it all out, and you'll get an extra boon. I've put the extra boon into the crit strike. The attack speed, pretty obvious because it'll help with the spirit generation. Oh, I'm getting stomach acid reflux or something. All this talking. Oof. Getting pain in my stomach. Dealing damage up to 15% chance to restore 10 spirit. That's a lucky hit. I don't know what the percentage is on that lucky hit. I think it's the innate lucky hit factors. Everything in this game has an innate lucky hit of 3% as far as I'm concerned. That's its default level. So it's a 3% chance on dealing damage. So it has to trigger the lucky hit. With 15% chance with that lucky hit to then restore 10 spirit. It might be the fact that it's 3% plus 15%, so it's 18% by default. I don't really know how that works. Again, someone's going to have to explain that to me. But if you get lucky hit on gear, so I got some here that says plus 3.5% lucky hit chance. Which is something that you probably actually should be getting on Druid stuff anyway. I don't have much at the moment, just a little bit of extra lucky hit. I will be getting as much as I can on gear as well at some point. But yeah. So if that's the case, I'm currently 21% or something. So 21% chance to restore 10 spirit. That's probably why I'm generating so much spirit. So yeah, I mean, these things, they do stack immensely well. Lucky hit, dealing lightning damage is up to 20%. So we've already got 3.5 plus the 3% by default. So that's what, 26% chance. If I'm wrong in saying that, please let me know. To cause, to emit a static discharge, dealing, blah, blah, blah. Now, the only problem with this is that it's lightning damage. This is the only thing that does lightning damage that I'm using. There is obviously the ability Lightning Storm. This is the only other ability that does lightning damage. It says it at the bottom right of the description. It actually tells you what damage it does, lightning damage. I don't like using this because it's a random hit. you can be standing in front of the enemy and the lightning won't hit it. It's annoying. Because the lightning strikes are hitting random targets, and it's so frustrating. I don't like this ability at all. I think it's terrible. I would rather just spam tornadoes. But yeah, the only downside is that the other abilities don't really do anything. Every 20th kill will cause your next Earth skill to overpower. Doesn't really work that great with this build. Critical strikes with shape-shifting skills. We're not using shape-shifting. Lucky hit. Nature magic skills have up to 10% chance to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate. The ultimates are shit as far as I'm concerned. Even with this, reducing the cooldown is still terrible. I would rather just have the innate hurricane slow over using the ultimate. Wow, my stomach is flaring up. This is the most talking I've done in ages. So yeah, that's the build. If you're curious about what I've done, there's the stats as well. That's where I'm currently at. Am I happy with it? Generally, like the majority of it I am. The remaining 6th ability, I don't really know what to use. I'm just using Blood Howl because I can, not because I should. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you what you use at that point. For me, I'm just using it for the extra attack speed. I don't really need the healing, though it does come in handy. If, you know, my Earthen Bulwark suddenly doesn't want to activate or get the cooldown reduction. But apart from that, yeah, the build's working great. I'm doing quite a nice amount of damage. Now it's just all about farming gear, making it better, making my damage go up and up and up. I need to farm the glyphs to make them better, and I need to farm levels to get more Paragon points. I lost the word there. So I just need to farm Paragon points. That's the only thing I'm lacking currently. But apart from that, welcome to Diablo. It is all about farming items until you know, whatever. The only thing I need to pay attention to now is the Landslide one. I need to find that, the aspect, and I need to get a nice gear item to be able to put that landslide effect onto. In the next video, I'm going to be doing the comparison between Tornado and Landslide against the same boss. So check that out, and we'll see that together, which is going to be better for solo targets. But apart from that, that's it. That's my build currently. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.